The most powerful central banker in the world just made the most defiant move of his career. Jerome Powell, the outgoing chair of the Federal Reserve, stood at his final press conference on April 29th and told America something that no Fed chair has ever had to say before. He is not leaving. And what is happening in this country right now is not simply a fight between Donald Trump and the Federal Reserve. What is really happening is a fight between Donald Trump and the American people. To understand why this moment is so significant, you need to understand what the Federal Reserve actually does and why it matters to every single person in this country. The Fed controls interest rates. That means it controls how expensive it is to borrow money. That affects your mortgage, your car loan, your credit card bill, your student debt. When the Fed raises rates, borrowing gets more expensive. When it cuts rates, things get cheaper. This is not abstract economic policy. This is the cost of your house and your car and your daily life. Jerome Powell's term as chair of the Federal Reserve officially expires on May 15th. The normal, expected, ordinary thing for him to do would be to hand over the keys, walk out the door, and quietly retire. He himself has said that had been his plan. But that is not what happened. Instead, Powell stood in front of reporters at what was supposed to be his final press conference and dropped a bombshell. He is staying on as a governor of the Federal Reserve Board, a position he holds through January 2028. He is not leaving. And the reason he gave is unlike anything we have heard from a Fed chair in the 113-year history of the institution. Powell said that the series of legal attacks directed at him and at the Federal Reserve by the Trump administration have left him, in his own words, no choice but to stay. His concern, he said, is about the legal attacks on the Fed that threaten its ability to conduct monetary policy without considering political factors. He said those attacks are battering the institution and putting at risk the thing that really matters to the public, which is the ability to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, rather than on political pressure or intimidation. Let that sink in. The chair of the Federal Reserve is saying that the President of the United States has been trying to use legal intimidation to control the institution that sets interest rates for the entire American economy, and he is refusing to go quietly. To understand how we got here, we need to go back several months. Trump has been demanding that the Fed aggressively cut interest rates since before he even took office for his second term. He called lowering rates a litmus test for anyone he would consider nominating as the next Fed chair. He openly threatened to fire Powell, though legal experts warned him that would be constitutionally dubious. When those tactics did not work, the Trump administration escalated in a way that shocked even seasoned Washington observers. The Justice Department, under Trump's control, launched a criminal investigation into Powell. The stated reason was cost overruns on a renovation project at the Federal Reserve's historic headquarters building in Washington. The Fed acknowledged that costs had risen from an initial estimate of around $1.9 billion to approximately $2.5 billion, attributing that increase to inflation and unexpected findings like excess lead and asbestos in the old building. But a federal judge saw through it. U.S. District Judge James Boasberg reviewed the situation and wrote in his ruling that there was essentially zero evidence to suspect Powell of a crime, and that the dominant, if not sole, purpose of the Justice Department's subpoenas was to harass and pressure Powell, either to yield to the president or to resign and make way for a Fed chair who will. A judge appointed by the government said, in writing, that the government was abusing its power. Powell responded with something extraordinary. He issued an emergency video statement saying the unprecedented action by the Justice Department should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. He said clearly and on the record that this is not about his testimony or about any renovation. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue setting interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. He served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, both Republican and Democrat. In every case, he said, he carried out his duties without political fear or favor. And then he said something that has echoed across the financial world ever since. public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. The Justice Department eventually indicated it was dropping the criminal probe, but in a move that tells you everything about the pressure campaign, prosecutors added that they could restart the investigation should the facts warrant doing so. Powell looked at that and said he would not leave until the matter was well and truly over, with transparency and finality. He is still waiting. Meanwhile, the Fed itself held interest rates steady for the third consecutive meeting in a row. The federal funds rate remains in the range of 3.5 to 3.75%. Trump has been demanding rates as low as 1%. Powell and the majority of the Federal Open Market Committee refused to comply. And here is why. Inflation in March hit 3.3%, the highest reading in 2 years. Oil prices have surged nearly 50% since the war with Iran began in late February. Gas is above $4 a gallon again. The economic data, according to the Fed, does not support cutting rates right now. Cutting rates in this environment, economists warn, could pour gasoline on an already burning inflation problem and make everything more expensive for every American. The meeting that produced this decision revealed a deeply divided committee. There were 4 dissenting votes, a level of internal disagreement not seen at the Fed since October 1992. One governor, Stephen Miron, who was appointed by Trump, voted for a rate cut. 3 other Fed presidents voted against even keeping an easing bias in the statement, meaning they wanted to make clear the Fed is not even seriously considering cutting rates anytime soon. This is a central bank being pulled apart from within, and all of it traces back to the political pressure being applied from the White House. Trump's response to Powell's announcement that he would stay on as governor was exactly what you would expect. He posted on Truth Social that Powell wants to stay at the Fed because he cannot get a job anywhere else and that nobody wants him. When reporters asked Trump directly whether he would take any action against Powell remaining on the board, Trump said he did not care. But analysts noted that Powell's decision to stay is itself a significant check on presidential power. By remaining on the board through 2028, Powell blocks Trump from appointing a new governor to fill that seat. He could serve as a counterweight if Trump's new pick for chair, Kevin Warsh, moves to cut rates too aggressively in ways the economic data does not support. Warsh's nomination has cleared the Senate Banking Committee on a 13-11 vote, the first fully partisan committee vote on a Fed chair in the panel's entire history. Senator Elizabeth Warren called that out directly. Warsh is now headed to a full Senate confirmation vote. In his confirmation hearing, Warsh committed to welcoming dissent and debate among Fed members, but only 50% of financial market respondents in a recent CNBC survey believed he would conduct monetary policy independently of Trump's wishes. What Powell said in his closing remarks to reporters deserves to be heard by every American. When CNN's reporter asked what advice Powell would give his successor, Powell paused, chuckled, and offered 3 things. Stay out of elected politics, be accountable to Congress, not to the president, and respect the dedicated professionals who work every day for the Fed's independent mission. He did not mention Trump by name. He did not have to. Everyone in that room understood exactly who he was talking about and exactly what he was warning against. The message underneath all of Powell's careful language is this. When a president tries to seize control of interest rates, he is not fighting the Fed. He is fighting the people whose mortgages and car loans and credit card rates those interest rates determine. He is fighting the workers and families and retirees whose economic security depends on a central bank that makes decisions based on data, rather than on whoever occupies the White House at any given moment. That is what this story is really about. Not a personal feud between 2 powerful men, but a question about who actually controls the economic lives of ordinary Americans. Jerome Powell spent 8 years answering that question the same way every single time. The American people do.